Hey, this is Big Tony of the legendary Trouble Funk. In this upcoming election, we need to speak truth to power. We need a steady hand to guide us through this rough ride called COVID-19. We need to educate our kids and keep them safe. Stop the killings by adding jobs and opportunities. I'm Big Tony, and I urge you to vote Vincent Orange for City Council at large. He gets it done.
I'm Vincent Orange, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Vincent Orange 2020. Paul Wesley Orange, Treasurer.
I'm a supporter of Vincent Orange. He is experienced and he is ready to lead. He has many years of political experience. Also with the Chamber of Commerce, he did an excellent job. He is ready to be the next city council at large.
We all agree that DC needs Vincent. Ward 5 needs Vincent. Especially, I live in Ward 5, that's why I'm saying that. But all wards need Vincent. Come on, Vincent.
I grew up in Washington, D.C., Northeast. Montana, Brentwood area. Our parents had to literally come get us because we were outside playing football or basketball. Whatever we could do, we did it right out in the street in front of our house. I just loved it. When I was about 16, I started using and selling drugs. You're in jail for 6 months and then you're home, and then you're back in jail for 9 months and then you're home. I was a nuisance to the courts and I was just miserable.
I'm originally from Oakland, California. I came to Washington, D.C. in 1980 to attend Howard University School of Law. I come from an extremely poor background. My mom worked hard. She worked for the Pullman Company as a laborer on a graveyard shift for like 25 years. When I was 14, I became a Better Chance Scholarship recipient. Ultimately, I became a practicing attorney, a certified public accountant, and eventually got involved in politics. I started out as a Ward 5 council member. I'm now the president and CEO of the District of Columbia Chamber of Commerce. Firm believer in James Brown. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door and I get it myself. So I've just been trying to open up doors for folks because people open up doors for me. And that's really what brought me into contact with the men in blue.
While I was rearrested, I started thinking back when my father had passed away, and I remember my brother was in this program. When I saw those guys in blue come at my father's funeral, it just blew me away. It was a whole team of guys in blue coming to see my brother. In my mind, he was worse off than me. But now, here he is, clean, sober, and happy. So I reached out to my brother when I went to court. My brother and the case manager came, and they actually spoke to the judge and got me released on the condition that I would stay in the program and complete the program. My brother played a huge part in saving my life. And the cool part about it is I'm his boss.
It's all about the clean team. These are like our ambassadors. And when I found out that they were not being paid the living wage, I went on a crusade and got with the business improvement districts, and we were able to force the government to live up to the law and increase the living wage to where it's supposed to be. Right now it's hovering around $14 per hour. It was really important for me to really go out and fight for them because they were committed, doing a good job, and we just wanted to make sure that they had what they needed in order to have a better quality of life.
A couple of months into the program, I find out I have a son. This was with somebody that I used to use with. But the bonus to this was she was in a program as well. So she's now clean and sober. So it just grew from that point. In 2007, we got married. To this day, we're still married, and my son is now 12 years old playing football. Life is great.
They give to the homeless, clean up the streets. I really like that because they're helping out as a community and stuff.
He's very happy now. I used to see him in a dark place, but since he's been with Ready, Willing, and Working, he's been an awesome, great guy.
Ready, Willing, and Working turned my life around. First I'm pushing a bucket, then I worked my way up and became a lead man, and then I was allowed to drive the truck.
Have a nice day.
All right, you too. Next step, I'm supervising the clean team, and I quickly rose to the second in command as Director of Operations. Once I hit the supervisory level, now I'm a part of helping to save others. I have people depending on it. This is more than just a job to me. If somebody calls me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go get them. That's the business we're in. We're in the business of saving lives. It's a 24-hour thing. I guess you can call me an EMT of RWW.
When I had oversight over the business improvement districts, I would go out and tour what was going on in their jurisdiction, and you'd see the men in blue. And then once the clean teams would come down and testify and tell their story, they got more support because a lot of the businesses, they want to have this type of presence out in the communities. And when there's a safe community, when things are working well, it helps us reduce unemployment, it helps us to reduce crime, and it helps us keep the city safe, clean. And I think businesses, they understand that. That's what this program offers. We just want to make sure that our elected officials realize that this is a great investment. What the business community can do is to continue to advocate and lobby the district government and others to say this program works, and that's where the chamber comes in as well, because we are the voice of business. Now the challenge for us is to keep it going.
Vincent Orange really took the time when he was on City Council to come out and meet our guys, get to know their needs, their concerns.
He has dreams and he's doing well in school. Just keep pushing.
Anytime he'll see you, he'll stop and shake your hands. How you doing? And he'll say, good work you're doing out here.
I did my hearing in front of some councilmen and testified for the bid, and here's Mr. Vincent Orange there to help us out.
Vincent Orange was able to increase our clean team salaries by about 30% per guy. So that's a huge impact on their quality of life.
The concept works. We're the largest nonprofit provider of bid contractors. We've got to be doing something right because other bids are contracting with us. The last contract we took over, we took the existing team and we made them more productive, and we did this by making the team happy. We let them know that we cared about them. We have what I would like to call almost the perfect business model, but it can be better. There are more contracts out there. We have other ideas about putting guys in the private sector, but we need to raise funding. We could make this team bigger and better.
What's up, sir?
Help and support from businesses, government, and private donations.
It's really impossible to quantify in a nutshell the value that Andrew brings to the clean team. I mean, it's just so all-encompassing.
When he hires a person, he doesn't see them as they are that day. He sees them as who they can become because he knows where he came from. And to me, that's special.
I ain't just like a mentor, like a father figure too though, because he know where we come from. Aunt Julie make it feel like I can live the American dream.
Truly, we couldn't run this program without Andrew, without his commitment.
When I think about back then, my worldly possessions were on my back. Now I have a house, 2 cars, a dog and a cat, a son and a wife. Hey, this is the American dream. And I got all of that once I made the decision to stop using and get some help. And that help was ready, willing, and working.
Hey, this is Big Tony of the legendary Trouble Funk. In this upcoming election, we need to speak truth to power. We need a steady hand to guide us through this rough ride called COVID-19. We need to educate our kids and keep them safe. Take care of our seniors and keep them safe. Stop the killings by adding jobs and opportunities. Stop the violence by adding hope. Keep people in their homes by stopping evictions. If you say you care, then help find a way to keep families together. He got the minimum wage raised to $15 an hour for DC workers. He fought to get 5 days of sick leave pay for tipped wage workers. VO is not bought and paid for by big donors. Small donations from everyday people is what supports his campaign. He's down with go-go because he know it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that VO swing. I'm Big Tony, and I urge you to vote Vincent Orange for City Council at large. He gets it done.
I'm Vincent Orange, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Vincent Orange 2020. Paul Wesley Orange, Treasurer.
We need Vincent back on the council. He has the experience to help navigate through this post-COVID-19 financial challenges that the city is going to face.
My name is Roosevelt Lord John Jr. And believe me, we need Vincent Orange in office because nobody else understands the budget as well. We're about to go broke in Washington, D.C., and he needs to get in there and help us control this budget and get us on board. Thank you.
And I want to give a shout out to Vince as well, because we worked together on so many different things. Our families travel together on trade efforts, for example, to Africa, on many visits to the huge extravaganza, something called the ICSC, the International Convention of Shopping Centers. If you look at all the major economic achievements in the city writ large, and certainly in Ward 5, Vince was there. So in Ward 5, clearly there's a whole Rhode Island complex, and look how that's going, what you're now seeing around Catholic University, all those major initiatives. The genesis for those major initiatives in Ward 5 was Vince. But even if you look at all the heavy lifting that we spent, and he was at all the meetings, whether they were Ward 5 or not, all the meetings with the major retailers, the first meetings we had with Target, all the pain and anguish we went through to get the Columbia Heights going. I'm so proud to remember, we all know what Columbia Heights looked like 15 years ago. And that Target now is one of the highest grossing Targets in the United States. It's Vincent Orange. Another thing about Vince is you got to give the man some love, because he's a lawyer and a CPA. My wife is a CPA, so I got to appreciate a CPA, right? Vince understands the balance sheet of a city. He understands how weird it was when people asked me, well, how can we elect a CFO to be the mayor? I mean, in a business, you would never ask this question. How could the CFO run the business? It's like, duh, right? But in government, it's like, well, the CFO is going to actually run the show? No, this is a normal course of business, because in business, you understand the balance sheet. In government, in the district now, we're doing a better job. In government, we've got to continue to do a better job to understand the balance sheet. What does that mean? Well, Vince understood the balance sheet. He understood that, for example, while we're continuing to fight for full democracy and we're continuing to fight for the right to tax the federal presence on the mall and the economic activity on the mall, it was our course of business to rebuild our downtown, just get people to cross Constitution Avenue, and then we can tax them all we want in the downtown. That's Vincent Orange understood that. Sales tax revenue on the balance sheet. He understood and was part of our effort, understands the implications of it and the need to push for affordable housing and to avoid displacement, but to bring new investment to the city with new residents and the quality of life that will draw new residents and investment in the city. Vince understood that. And then finally, I never forget, he was sitting right over here. The saga over baseball, all the doomsayers. Baseball wasn't going to work. It was going to be a financial disaster. And what happened, all the naysayers and all the doomsayers who criticized baseball were the first ones to go in there and raid the fund when it was actually producing ahead of schedule. Am I right? And I'll never forget Vince sitting here with the 3 bags, which was basically essentially one-on-one on fund accounting, educating everyone on how the stadium was actually going to be financed. This notion that we paid $600 million for the stadium is not true. There was an opportunity cost, kind of a carry cost of letting the stadium use the money, but we're being paid back, and that money is going into other needed functions in the district government. Vince gets that. And so then one other thing about Vince, he has the exquisite good taste to hire James Brown as his chief of staff, who did a fabulous job for our city. When you look at Channel 16 today and Channel 13 today and the professionalism of our public access TV, that's James Brown. So all this is Vincent Orange. So give the councilman a big hand. He's doing a fabulous job. For that, Councilman, I applaud you for your everlasting, long-standing efforts that economic development works for our people. You know that I will always be there supporting you. He was really a fantastic partner for me. And again, that's why I wanted to come up here and be supportive of what you're doing. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Okay.
So when the Mayor for Life talks about the citizens of Washington are blessed to have your leadership, it reminds me of the conversation that we had together when we talked about how I was able to jumpstart economic development in Ward 5 that reverberated throughout the city. Had the first major economic development project in 20 years in 2001. We turned a 25-acre car impoundment lot, salt dome, and other undesirable things on that lot into a shopping center for the citizens of the District of Columbia. We also talked about the ideal of school reform and school modernization. I was able to get McKinley Tech reopened as McKinley Technology High School that went on to win the President Barack Obama Blue Ribbon Excellence Award, where the children there are 90% proficient in reading and 90% proficient in math. And also Noyes Elementary School, where children are starting out, and we want them to be able to read independently upon entering the 4th grade and being able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide upon entering the 4th grade. Because if not, we cannot introduce you to decimals, fractions, and algebra and what have you. And if you haven't learned how to read, you cannot read for comprehension. So those were key, and that was the type of leadership we were providing in the District of Columbia. In addition to that, we want to jumpstart recreation renovation and development. And I was able to do that with North Michigan Park Recreation Center, Turkey Thicket Recreation Center, and Brentwood Community Recreation Center, and then the rest of DC followed. So when we were talking about leadership for Washington, DC, we were talking about these projects that generated housing, contract opportunities for certified business enterprises, and of course, a better quality of life for the citizens of District of Columbia. Now, when he talked about fighting for the working class, it's a great run in fighting for the working class. We were able to achieve the $15 per hour minimum wage. We were able to get 5 days of sick leave pay for tip wage workers. We were able to get workers' theft legislation passed, where the Attorney General just utilized that legislation to get back $13,000 in stolen wages. We were also able to get legislation passed that would prevent discrimination in the workplace for pregnant women and transgenders. And so it was just a labor of love fighting for the working class, because my parents come from the working class and a lot of us come from the working class, and we want to have a better quality of life and enjoy life in the District of Columbia just like everyone else. And then finally, he talked about having the courage to fight for Black people. And clearly he was talking about when I stood up and said we need to honor and celebrate the 3,100 slaves that were freed on April 16, 1862 in the DC Emancipation Act that was executed by President Abraham Lincoln 9 months before the proclamation that was executed on January 1, 1863, that freed the rest of the slaves throughout the United States. But here in the District of Columbia, April 16, 1862, 3,100 enslaved persons were freed. And we were able to create the only public holiday in the District of Columbia that celebrates that time period in the history. The only time in history where the federal government actually paid $1 million to the slave owners to let the enslaved persons go. And then a great honor for me in standing up for the District of Columbia, standing up for statehood and standing up for Black people, was to be able to deliver the statehood or else speech at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. So these are the things that Marion and I had an opportunity to talk about. And also, I was his president. As an Alpha, he would come to the Mu Lambda chapters, and I was a term president, and he would come to the meetings, and he would respect and honor protocol, and he had to address me as President Orange. And that was just a great feeling that Marion Barry was just such an all-around person. And in this book, if you read The Mayor for Life, I couldn't believe that he actually had to set up the accounting system for the District of Columbia in order for us to move forward. Mayor for Life, we miss you, and your words still ring true today. So, it was great just talking with Marion Barry about the accomplishments that he made for the District of Columbia, always cared about people, and especially young people. The Summer Youth Employment Program was one of his great prides, to make sure that everyone had a summer job. And I could relate to that because in Oakland, California, I went through the Summer Youth Employment Programs, and those programs build character. So, when I was on the council, I worked to expand his program to include the 22, 23, and 24-year-olds because we want to make sure that everybody gets good working experience. I would have conversations with him about the living wage, the minimum wage, and actually I had the opportunity to get the minimum wage of $15 per hour passed, but it was always with Marion in mind because we had these conversations about how do you help the working class? How do you help the tip wage workers? I mean, quite frankly, I would not want anyone to serve me food while they're sick. And it just made sense for us to ensure that that tip wage workers at least get 5 days of sick leave pay. And for DC Emancipation Day, Marion Barry, he stood up there with me. He says, go get 'em, Orange. And I would fight for DC Emancipation Day. First it started as a private legal holiday, and then ultimately it became a public holiday in the District of Columbia. So he always had a connection with the people. He can also, work on the higher levels, make sure that we got development done, creating jobs and balancing budgets, but he would always care about the people, and we'd all have to come together and work together. To sum up the conversations with the Mayor for Life, Marion Barry Jr., he could articulate it to me in such a way that I would have to embrace it and own it. So when he says, Vincent Orange, you provide leadership for Washington, D.C., I own that statement. When he says, Vincent Orange, you are a fighter for the working class, I own that statement. And finally, when he says, you have the courage to fight for Black people, I own that statement, because Black lives matter. And in order for all lives to matter, Black lives matter. So we should always learn from each other. We should always examine our history, and we should make sure that we leave this place better than what we found it. And so I'm very grateful to Marion Barry.
Today is DC Emancipation Day. Today is April 16th, 2016. I'm pleased to be here with you. I'm at-large council member of Vincent Orange, and we really want this to really be a festive activity today, and I think we're off to a great start. 154 years ago, President Abraham Lincoln signed the DC Emancipation Compensation Act that freed 3,100 slaves. The only time in the history of this country where the federal government paid $1 million to free those enslaved persons, but they had to pay the enslaved owners.
inside of this hour for protection. I need a moment to take it all in. Cause it's a real Tony. But you need to call me, I will never leave you lonely. And I think that is Tony, it just called you my angel. You want to leave me? This life is almost war pages. See my parents and your parents don't agree. Think our love is temporary cause we don't exist. But not too many get it right. All the words you have, you need to know. Hands up, come on. Cause I live it, every moment's memorable. We'll never forget it. Love the way you pucker up your lips when I pack it. When you get this message, I'll be here to check it. My heart, my mind, my soul, my time. It's all for you. Let me say it one more time. My heart, my mind, my soul, my time. It's everybody with your hands flat.
But a ponytail me long. Still make us scoot over so her cousins them could come. Alright, chef, alright, stay your hat like that with time. She gon' bust it open, bubble gum.
Let me talk to you.
This is so exclusive. Say you on the road, that's exactly what we doing. Whether we freaking or we coolin', your friends wanna know too. Tell them we can do it. We can get love like someone started shooting. When it's just me and you, we can hop in that coupe then. We can chop off the top, baby, we can go ruthless. They gon' look at us crazy, they gon' look at us foolish.
Baby, scoot over, and scoot over, and scoot over.
The Afro pick, let's go. Hey.
I remember mom and Gay used to sing to me. Had me feeling like that was a thing to be. James Brown used to sing to me. Had me feeling like that was a thing to be. Now you know, like I know, they turn us up on the radio. Don't turn me down, man, keep me up. Don't turn me down, man, keep me up. Don't turn me down.
Fathers, teach your baby. Mamas,
put your hands together and receive Council Member Vincent Orange.
"20 years ago, 1 million men came to Washington, D.C. to atone. Through our atonement, we agreed to refrain from crime, drug addiction, and family abuse, while accepting responsibilities for ourselves, our families, and our actions. Today, we are here in the nation's capital again, with atonement as our foundation. We come to embark upon justice or else. Justice or else. And justice is tied to truth, and the truth shall set us free. I am Vincent Orange, a resident and citizen of Washington, D.C., and an at-large member of the Council of the District of Columbia. Today, I have a truth to share about the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. The truth I share is supported by the United Nations, the Organization of American States, and the one man, one woman, one vote principle which our democracy is built on. Today, we speak truth to power. The truth is, nearly 700,000 citizens of the United States of America and residents of the District of Columbia have no voting representation in the United States Congress. We have no voting representation in the House of Representatives. We have no voting representation in the United States Senate. What we do have is taxation without representation. Collectively, the nearly 700,000 district residents pay more than $3 billion in federal taxes each year. 200,000 brave district resident men and women have served in the United States Armed Forces, fighting, dying. In fact, 2,000 of them dying for our beloved country, yet we have no representation in Congress. God bless the child who has its own. The citizens of the District of Columbia must have its own voting member in the House of Representatives and its 2 voting members in the United States Senate. Today, I stand before you under the umbrella of justice or else and demand for the 700,000 District of Columbia residents and citizens of the United States of America, statehood or else. D.C. statehood now. The District of Columbia, the 51st state of the United States of America, has a population larger than the states of Vermont and Wyoming. Moreover, we have an economy larger than the states of Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Idaho, Maine, Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. District residents generate $7 billion in local tax revenue. D.C.'s annual budget is nearly $13 billion. We also possess nearly $2 billion in our rainy day fund. Unlike the 50 states of America, the District of Columbia has to get permission from Congress to spend our own money. That is not right. We demand the right to govern ourselves, our money, and our destiny like the other 50 states. Now today, how many of you have traveled from another state to get here? Do you know if you decide to live here and become a resident of the District of Columbia, you lose voting representation in Congress? Simply because you live in the District of Columbia in the United States, between the states of Maryland and Virginia, you lose voting representation in Congress and immediately become subject to taxation without representation. Do you know the first African-American Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder Jr., a D.C. resident, cannot run for a position in the House of Representatives or the United States Senate simply because he resides in the District of Columbia? On a personal note, I moved from Oakland, California to the District of Columbia in 1980, and I have lost and have been without a voting representative and 2 voting senators ever since, simply because I occupy this soil, this land, and I am a resident citizen located here in the District of Columbia in the United States of America. My children, like the other children of the District of Columbia, have been robbed of an opportunity to become a voting member of the United States House of Representatives or a voting member of the United States Senate because they are resident citizens of the District of Columbia. So today, I call upon you to be one of the 1 million signatures presented to the President of the United States, to the 535 members of Congress, to the 2016 Democratic National Convention, and the 2016 Republican National Convention demanding statehood or else. Statehood or else. Sign the petition today with the volunteers in red shirts, or go to the website change.org and sign the DC petition. The petition states, we, the undersigned citizens of the United States of America, hereby sign this petition urging the President of the United States and the members of Congress to support statehood and full representation for the 658,893 residents of the District of Columbia who collectively pay more than $3 billion in federal taxes each year, and where 200,000 brave district resident men and women have served in the United States Armed Forces defending, fighting, and 2,000 of them dying for our beloved country, yet have no voting representation in Congress. We believe this to be a true denial of democracy to the residents of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and the citizens of the United States of America. Statehood or else. Statehood or else. Under the umbrella of justice or else. God bless D.C. statehood. Justice or else.
I met Vincent Orange at the Chamber of Commerce, and I was very impressed with him and the way he reached out to the constituency in the chamber. So when I saw that he was running at large, of course I wanted to be involved.
Yes, I've known Vincent many years. He's an established politician. He knows how to make things happen, and he's who the district needs, particularly in these times.
We're ready to do it, so let's step to it. I'm Henry Jones. I've been the ring announcer for pro boxing here in D.C. for 31 years. Vincent Orange is my fraternity brother, and this is certainly symbolic of fighting the good fight. We're glad to see him back on the scene. We need him more than ever. We need everybody to come out. It's never been a more important election in life and history than now. And of course, all politics are local. So come on out and support V.O. Vincent Orange.
Hey, this is Big Tony of the legendary Trouble Phone. In this upcoming election, we need to speak truth to power. November 3rd, vote Vincent Orange for City Council at large. We need a steady hand to guide us through this rough ride called COVID-19. We need to educate our kids and keep them safe. Take care of our seniors and keep them safe. Stop the killings by adding jobs and opportunities. Stop the violence by adding hope. Keep people in their homes by stopping evictions. If you say you care, then help find a way to keep families together. He got the minimum wage raised to $15 an hour for DC workers. He fought to get 5 days of sick leave pay for tipped wage workers. VO fought for citizens returning into society to start their own businesses, for small business owners to compete for government contracts. And he will always fight for all people. VO is not bought and paid for by big donors. Small donations from everyday people is what supports his campaign. Vincent Orange is not just saying what he will do, but what he's already done. You'll find him at number 2 on the ballot. He's down with go-go because he knows it don't mean a thing if he ain't got that VO swing. I'm Big Tony, and I urge you to vote. November 3rd, vote Vincent Orange for City Council at large. He gets it done.
Justice or else!
I'm Vincent Orange, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Vincent Orange 2020. Paul Wesley Orange, Treasurer.